30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice, all across the country. Welcome on in. Slick Rick's here. He's going to be doing some more sports. Rick Delgado's got the news. Kevin Downey Jr. is going to have some news as well. What even is that? Coming up at 9 o'clock, top of the hour. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But please, right now, welcome back to Live from Studio 6B, the chairman of the Suffolk County GOP. That would be Mr. Jesse Garcia. Welcome back to the show, sir.
It's great to be here, like we were just talking off air.
You are one of the original OGs of Live from Studio 6B. Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire was our very first guest ever. Diamond and Silk are, I think, in the top 5. And wow. Jesse Garcia as, I think, number 3 or number 4. You were probably the third or fourth guest.
Yeah, you brought me back a couple of times. You guys got bigger, and you set me on the side of the road. I saw Damon said, go win a couple elections, go turn a county, go turn a town, and then maybe we'll have you back.
Go become the man of Suffolk County, and that's what Jesse
Mission accomplished.
Well, no, it's great to have you. And you were just, of course, well, before we get to that.
Yep.
Could you have ever imagined, even joking back about when you came on the early show, could you ever imagine that you would come in 2024, sit on this show, and I would look at you and say, we have had 2 assassination attempts on a former president, and you can't sit here and rule out that there may not be a third in the next 40 days?
Absolutely not.
Is that unbelievable?
You know what? I think this has been an election cycle of the impossible, the unbelievable, the unpredictable. And so we were sitting back in the early days of Live at Studio 6B. No, I never would have been able to say that to you, or it's inconceivable. I mean, not even a good Hollywood script would be tossed out if you threw that out there. Yeah. But I think that what's unfortunate is that America and unfortunately the world is now seeing some of the flaws in the security system of our principals and our dignitaries, and it's giving them ideas. I believe that there are foreign powers out there that have been trying to do something to disrupt this election. I believe that there's been, we just had a hack of the Trump campaign by Iran, and they shared that with the Biden campaign. That doesn't, you can't think, and it's not inconceivable that the Biden campaign, turned that over to the Harris campaign. They're one and the same. So it's inconceivable. It's unbelievable. But the thing is, one of the things that comes out of this is that our system perseveres and our presidential candidate is resolved. And I do believe, like he said, and I believe our guy from New York said, Lee Zeldin, I think the hand of God is here. It's on his shoulders. I think he's protecting him. And I think, in a way, he is, a higher power is moving this forward for the protection of this great republic.
Yeah. And you were over at in Uniondale, over at the Nassau Coliseum. President Trump was there about a week or so ago. Big rally in New York. And we've half jokingly, but also serious discussion on this show about why he's spending time and resources in New York. Is New York in play? These guys seem to think it is. Yep. I'm not convinced that it is. But I guess tell me what you think the state of New York is going into the election, and tell me what your message was. You had a chance to get up at Nassau Coliseum and speak to the 18,000 people who jam-packed that place. Very exciting. Tell me about your message, what you spoke about, and then tell me about where we are in New York.
Well, I think, let me just take where we are in New York. I think that, number one, Long Island, the Long Island Republican organization, Suffolk County, Nassau County, my good friend Joe Cairo, the chairman in Nassau County, we are the point of the spear. If an election is going to be won statewide here in the state of New York, it's going to come because of the turnout and driven by Long Island and its region. I think what you're seeing here is that in every poll, President Trump has been gaining. He was down 20, he was down 18, he was down 13, he was down 8. Now he's like slipping a little bit to 10, but in the margin of error. But this state is in play. And what's most importantly is that I can tell you is his presence here on Long Island and here in New York has benefited down the ballot. That means challenger races to maintain the House majority. The House majority came through Long Island and New York in 2022. We need to protect the seats of Molinaro, Lawler, here on Long Island, D'Esposito, an outstanding man of character, strength, a fighter from the 4th Congressional District. We have to win Mike LaPetrie in the 3rd Congressional District. And I feel good and solid about Nick LaLota in the 1st Congressional District here in Suffolk County and Andrew Garbarino in the 2nd Congressional District. But then we have big seats down ballot even further. Let's break the supermajority of the state Senate by picking up the 2 lone Democrat seats in the state Senate, one in Nassau, one in Suffolk. And of course, we have 2. We're going to re-elect all our incumbents. I feel really good about that. One of our incumbents, Ed Flood, knocked out in 2022 a 39-year incumbent Democrat to take back that seat. I think we're going to win. I know we're going to win him. And we have 2 open seats. Joe Cardinale in the 11th Assembly District, that's in like Babylon, Amityville, and the 1st Assembly District, which is the East End with Steve Kiley. Those seats are there for the picking. And when you have someone at the head of the ticket like Donald Trump, who has been talking about making New York safer, more affordable, more secure, that's resonating with the voters.
Yeah, you look at what's going on in New York City and you look at voters. I mean, you look at what's going on as far as illegal immigration in the city. You look at what's going on with these intercontinental, cross-national gangs that are taking a foothold in New York City that's going on. I mean, at some point, Rudy Giuliani came on this show and he said to us that there was no demographic group that came up to him more than African-American mothers when he was the mayor and said, Mr. Mayor, we don't want less police. We want more police.
Absolutely.
We want more structure. We want more of them on the street. You would have to think, even in New York City, at some point, people have to say, this is not what we signed up for. You have total debacle with the mayor, with what's going on there, all of his investigations, crime in the city, gangs in the city. You would think that there may be a demographic that President Trump of law and order could come in and maybe flip some votes to say that this is not working for us.
He had 6,000 to 8,000 people in the Bronx at a rally. Yeah. That's amazing. And that was a diverse constituency that was there. Listen, anytime the state of New York takes $2.4 billion and it sets it aside for illegal migrants, where they're getting free credit cards, free housing, free food, free benefits, that money's got to come from somewhere. That means an inner city community in New York City is losing programs for their youth programs, their senior programs, their veterans programs. That means, and we saw it out here, our local school districts were losing aid so we could fund sanctuary city policies to the tune of $2.4 billion. People see that. Every ethnic group sees that and says, what is going on here? Why are resources being taken away from us to go to illegal migrants? It's wrong, and they're standing up.
Yeah. When you look at the race nationally, one of the biggest complaints we hear on this show is that people watching TV and they see these ad buys, all they see is the other side's ads. They don't see a lot of Trump ads. And then you look at what's going on in North Carolina with obviously the lieutenant governor, now somebody running for governor. Does that hurt him in North Carolina? When you talk about the down ballots here in New York, and I don't know, I know you're following New York obviously closer than on the national level, but does it concern you at all when you look at people like, let's say, in Pennsylvania, some of the down ballots where Dave McCormick is doing really well, and President Trump's numbers in Pennsylvania look really well. But then you look in Arizona, state he also needs to win. Carrie Lake looks like she's losing by 6-7 points, not doing well. Mark Robinson, even before this, was not doing well. So do you think that's a matter of just the way the state's set up, or do you think President Trump's coattails are stronger in certain places like New York, maybe in Pennsylvania, and not as strong in some of these other states? How do you square those two?
I think part of that are the candidates. I think that, Trump is going to have coattails, but he can only go so far. I'm not really sure about the Carrie Lake campaign, so I really can't speak to it. But we have seen that there's a battle going on here. And listen, we're in New York, and we're going to be able to get a couple of the commercials. But I do know that the top pollster for Donald Trump is my pollster, Tony Fabrizio from Fabrizio Lee and Associates. And I know that they are battling in the 7 key states. We all know this. This is going to come down to 7 states determining what's going on. And what's good about that is that not only is Trump competing, he is forcing resources into those districts by Democrats. He's forcing Democratic organizations like this Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee, the Democratic DCCC, the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee, spending money there, which protects other incumbents and other challenger seats. So I think what we're going to see is that we may not see a lot of the ads here, but the ads are being pummeled and really pounding out in key states where this race is going to be determined.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a conversation we were having last night. Damon brought up the fact that he was seeing a lot of hearing from people, seeing a lot of Kamala ads, and where were the Trump ads? And my question was when he said, he's being outspent $5 million a day. I'm like, well, the question is why are the Democrats spending so much? And you just kind of answered it right there. I guess his presence, his viability in some places where maybe they didn't think they had to worry. Now they got to go, oh, geez, we got to worry. Are you seeing these numbers? Do you get any hints? Do you have anybody on the other side like going, hey, Jesse, here's what's going on our side? You wouldn't believe how they're freaking out.
Honestly, what I hear on the other side is that we have Democrat candidates who are mimicking and parroting the Trump campaign. They're parroting Trump policies, and they're even doing Republican policies. They're doing. We have a Democrat candidate who's an extreme leftist who in their ads, you see images of Donald Trump. I mean, obviously, they want to try. Because Here's the thing. The battle's going to come down. The two bases are in play. The two bases are set. Kamala's base and the Republican base is in play. The independent voters, everyone is seeing that they're leaning right. They're leaning Republican. And that's a benefit for Donald Trump. He may not have had that in 2020 because of COVID and these governors in these blue states weaponizing the election system for their benefits. But you're not going to have that situation here. Right. And that's number one. Number two, we've had 4 years of Donald Trump, and we've seen 4 years of Biden-Harris. Right. I almost called him Hayden, which is probably the same thing. Biden. But and they know what it's about. They know gas was $1.50 on January 20th of 2021. They know groceries were $120 less when you go out there into January of 2021. They know that their school supplies were less. They know we had more oil. They know our borders were secure. That's not the case right now. Right. Unemployment's at an all-time high as compared to the Trump years. Inflation's at an unbelievable rate. It's not come down. You can manipulate those numbers. And we just saw even Biden's own White House wipe out any type of jobs lead that they wanted to talk about by saying 818 jobs over the last year never really existed.
Yeah, 18,000.
800,000. Yes, 818,000.
Right. Unbelievable. Yeah, and if Suffolk County voted like the rest of the country voted like Suffolk County, we'd have some country. I got to tell you, the entire country would be red thanks to the efforts of Chairman Garcia, who I know has impacted me on a local level with the chamber. I mentioned on the show many times, many years as president. We got a great county executive in Ed Romaine that he got elected. He's doing great things for the county. Doug Smith, also a
great friend of the show.
Anthony Piccarello, and a lot of great people. Ed Flood's in my district, so I'll be pulling for Ed. I'm trying to do everything I can locally for him, donating money and campaigning in my neighborhood. Yep. But so Jesse Garcia, one of the best to do it in the country, hands down, and from my perspective.
Mr. Chairman, can you hang with us for another segment?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's hit the commercial break. We've also got John Solomon talk about his bombshell today that is just infuriating to read when you think about the incoming that President Trump has taken about January 6th. We'll get to all of that live from Studio 6B on a busy Tuesday night. We're back right after this.